Hey everybody, Christopher here. Hello to all of my wonderful patron subscribers and all of you that have subscribed for these videos. Thank you so very much. And I'm so happy to be with you, to do this show with you. This is our show. This is your show. This is my show. I'm doing this show for all of us to be together and learn together from each other. So I want to hear from you. This is your show. You've subscribed. You've donated to support the show. So tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you want to do, and I will do it, because our subscribers really are very, very important to me. So we're going to talk about something today that I know is really, really important to so many of you, as it is to me. And we're going to be talking about signs and messages from loved ones in heaven and our beautiful pets in heaven as well. And thank you to all of you who have been so supportive after our beautiful Shiner boy passed away on June 24th. It's been incredibly difficult finding our way without him, but we're doing it because what other choice do you have, right? So many of you have lost a loved one, have lost a dog, a cat, an animal, a horse of any kind. If it's got a heartbeat, there's love in that heart. It just takes some people a while longer to see it and feel it, I think. So when you see me look away like I'm doing right now, I'm looking at my set list of specifically of a few things I want to talk about today, so I can get a lot of this done and get the most out that I want you to know, that I think would be helpful to your learning as well. So one of the first things we're going to start off today with is talking about why our loved ones in heaven communicate with us from heaven. And it's a very good question, because honestly, we are grateful when our loved ones in heaven communicate with us and send us prayers and love and different quarters, pennies, different signs, drops of water, butterflies, doves. They can really do quite a few things. And this is really a time in my classes with my students when I tell them, every time you see a butterfly, every time you see a dove, every time, don't automatically think that every time that happens it's going to be a sign from a loved one or a pet in heaven, because that's ridiculous to think of that. There's butterflies, there's dragonflies, they're starting to go extinct, but they're still around. So I try to keep a level head about this. When I hear a noise in the middle of the night in my house, I'm not going to jump up and think immediately it's a ghost. Because there's old homes. Houses make noises that have nothing to do with paranormal activity. And our loved ones love to communicate with us because they know that we miss them. But it's a different kind of missing us that they miss us, because they know that we'll see them again. Anybody that doesn't believe in heaven, anybody that doesn't believe in the afterlife, once they get there and see that it exists, then they know for sure that it's real, that they will meet everybody that they left behind one day. And that is really what I believe with all my heart to be true. And I know so many of you do believe that. And there are a lot of skeptics out there that don't believe. Well, there's skeptics that don't believe in oxygen. They don't believe in the air that they breathe because they can't see it with their own two eyes. So sometimes it's not about seeing. Sometimes it's about hearing. And sometimes it's just a state of knowing that you know what you are receiving is correct. Understanding the messages that come through from spirits and loved ones in heaven. Sometimes the messages can be very difficult to understand. Most of the messages are not. Most of the messages are a no-brainer. They're going to send something through that they know for sure you're gonna remember or pick up on, so that you know that this is legitimate, this is real, this is really happening. Because the idea of someone being able to connect with a dead person, I get it. Okay, it's far out. If I didn't experience it myself, I probably would be a bigger skeptic about it. It really does exist. There are a lot of people that can communicate with the dead, but every person who calls themselves a medium, no. I don't believe in that. I think that the mediumship, being able to receive messages, I think it's a very rare gift. You're either born with it or you're not. It's a very, very, very special gift to be able to communicate with the dead, to help people heal. And you never know how healing it's going to be until you give a message to someone who really needs it, from a loved one who passed away or from a pet. So the understanding the messages that come through, if you get a message or if your loved one appears to you in a dream and you don't understand the dream, you don't understand the message, just ask your guides and angels for more clarification. Ask them for more information. Ask them to show you things, to illuminate things, to light up things for you to know for certain. I know what it's like to not trust yourself. Sometimes we get information and we don't trust it. We feel like, oh, we can't give this out because we could be wrong. Don't worry about being wrong. There's more things to worry about in life than being wrong about anything, because none of us are perfect. We're all human beings. Everybody makes mistakes. So don't worry about the mistakes. Just focus on learning from them and not repeating them, if possible. Our loved ones send us a lot of different signs. When I was putting this show together, I really had to think back. I pulled out some of my journals from some of the experiences that I've had with clients over the years, some of my own personal experiences, which are, as many of you have told me before, you find quite fascinating. Which I'm glad. I'm glad there's something that you find interesting about me, or you wouldn't be here, right? Right. So the kind of signs they send, it really depends on what you're open to receiving. If you're open to, if you believe in the afterlife, if you're spiritual, if you use love and light in your life, which so many of us do, then you being open to receiving the message is the first thing. Sometimes our loved ones and pets, if they've just recently passed away, there will be a bit of a distance to begin with, and that is for our own better good. They want us to heal. They want us to grieve. They want us to let go and heal. And then once we start doing that, that's normally when their spirit will come to visit us, or if you go in for a reading with me or another medium, and that's a lot of the times that's when the messages would really be quite intense. Generally, about 3 months after the person has passed away is the sweet spot. That's the time when they've really, the loved one who passed away or the pet, as I do pet readings also. A lot of light workers that do what I do can also connect with pets. That's one of the, and I'm going to do a show about that soon as well. That's going to be one of the bonus videos that'll be exclusive to you for our wonderful subscribers. So there's so many different signs: birds, pennies, quarters, different things laying around, different things that are misplaced. If you've ever misplaced your keys, you put them on the table, you know they're there, you know where you left them, and you go to find them and they're not there. Well, sometimes that could be a spirit, but not every time. Again, every time something goes crazy, we can't just automatically assume that it's a spirit, because that's kind of getting into a mentally just very unhealthy way to think. So I try to keep things in the best possible light, the best possible way to keep you informed, to answer all of your questions, because there's no stupid questions, okay? The only stupid questions are the ones that you don't ask me, because I don't think anything is questions. I don't think anything's stupid, really. If it's important to you to have an answer, then it's important to you, and you have to ask questions. That's very, very important. So if you can think back about a loved one who's passed away and different things, different feelings that you felt immediately after they passed away, and then different feelings that you felt a month after that, or 2 months after that, or 3 months after that, because that's really when loved ones start really getting back into the swing of things, where they're comfortable being back at home in heaven again with the angels. They've had enough time for meet and greets with their family and loved ones and pets. They're ready. It really, at the 3-month mark, is a really great time to start connecting with them. And I know that we want to connect with them right away as soon as they pass away. But we have to give them a little space. We have to give them a little time too, to understand the process. But once that a few months has passed, a lot of that energy comes back to us. A lot of the beautiful energies and things that we remember from our loved ones are right there. once again, as if they never left. That's the magic of love, because it never dies. Never. Over the years, through many lectures and appearances and readings and special events with my supporters and followers and friends, and having heard so many other experiences from so many of my spiritual friends as well and practitioners, there's always a lot of questions that people have for a medium, for me, for so many of you out there that do what I do as well. When it comes to asking questions about your loved ones in heaven and pets. One of the questions that people ask frequently is when things get turned off and on, like electronics, different electronic devices in their home, when they start going off. Can a loved one or a spirit in heaven do that? Absolutely. Anything electrical, anything that they could manipulate like that, absolutely they can, and they do. But again, to think every time the lights flicker is a loved one, it's okay every once in a while. But like I said, I just try to stay on solid ground, where it's if you feel something there's probably something there, whenever there's any kind of experience, a haunting or a loved one coming to visit, there's an energy present that's unmistakable, and you know what it is if you felt it. How long does it take to receive a sign from a loved one or a pet once they've crossed over? That question varies depending on a lot of things. If that loved one had a horrible time with cancer that lasted for years and years, or if they were constantly sick for the last several years, decades of their life, they might want to rest for a little while in heaven before they start, making the toaster fly through the air in your house. Sometimes they really do want to rest and get reacquainted with their loved ones and family members and their pets that have passed away since they were on Earth. So I like to think that about 2 or 3 months after is when we start to get a lot more specifics, a lot more signs that you really can't discount or dismiss. And in those hours right after the person's spirit leaves the body and, the physical body dies and the spirit leaves the body to go to heaven, there's times then as the spirit is leaving the body, if you weren't able to be with somebody when they passed away, or if you didn't get to the hospital in time, or if something like that happened, a lot of times they go visit us. I wasn't able to be in the hospital when my grandfather passed away, but I remember distinctly that he came to me the day before his physical body died. And I believe that was the day that his spirit left the body. So that was the day he technically died, but the next day his physical body gave out on him. And he came to me as clear as day in a green shirt and a green pair of pants. And I know that my mother and grandmother and all the loved ones that know him would know immediately what that is. He had a good fashion sense, and he knew what looked good on him. And green is a hard color to look good on anybody, but my grandpa could pull it off pretty good. So it really, everybody is different. It could take, some people get a message right away or a sign right away. Other people, it takes a little time. So be patient. Think about all that your loved one went through at the latter stages of their life and why they might need a little bit more time to just settle down in heaven and just be at peace and quiet and calming energies with the loved ones and family members that they haven't seen for, in some cases, several decades. It's hard because a lot of people, myself included, when a loved one passes away, it doesn't matter the fact that we believe in heaven, that we know that there's an afterlife. It doesn't help us anymore knowing that. We really do try. We really hope for that immediate sign. And sometimes when that sign doesn't come immediately, it can be heartbreaking. It can just overpower everything and make your emotions and everything just very, very sad, very, very weak. And that's another thing about grieving and losing people. There's no time limit for grieving. Some people feel you can get through it, after a month or two. There's some losses that we lose in life that are so tremendous that we never get over. Life goes on. We don't have a choice. Life has to move forward, right? But it's difficult when there's someone you think that will be with you forever, and then that's not how it turns out. It doesn't. Even those of us that do this work and are very close to death, or well, close to the other side, close to heaven, I should say. No, I'm not close to death. That was kind of funny though. A few people out there would be amused if that was the case, I'm sure. But that's how that works a lot of the time. If you're looking for a sign and you're not getting a sign, be very careful that you're not overlooking things. Because, sometimes when we're going through heavy emotions, pardon me, we don't always see every sign. We don't always pay close attention to every single thing. A lot of you out there have connected with me after you've lost children. Oh goodness, over the last 7, 8 years or so, I've often wondered if there's something above my head that says, if you've lost a child, please come to Christopher, because that's no joke. Because over the last several years, I would say probably 30 or 35% or more of my friends and clientele friends are women and men who have lost their children. And there's no way around that. There's nothing you can tell a grieving parent who's lost her baby or his baby. There's nothing you can say that can help, other than trying to be helpful. But sometimes when we're helpful, we can be not as helpful as we would like. Pardon me. It's very difficult when somebody tells you, when you're going through something, especially something so tremendous as the loss of a child or the loss of a pet, which I believe is very similar. And I know some people will be offended at that, but I don't care. Those of us that have lost pets, they are our children. And it's the loss of a pet is very similar to the loss of a child. It's very, very painful. I want to talk about the signs that our pets and even children and baby souls send us. Babies who were either born, passed away, or they passed away in mommy's belly before they were born. A lot of times those baby souls like to come through in dreams. And I've always thought that dreams are another fancy word for astral projection and vice versa. I think a lot of our astral projections and dreams are the same thing. I believe that our astral projections are downloaded in the format of a dream, but I believe that most of the dreams we have of us flying throughout the universe are very genuine. The dreams that we have visiting loved ones or them visiting us, very genuine. I believe most of those, if not all of those, are actual spirit reunions in heaven. When we go out of body at night, when we go to sleep, when our spirit leaves the body, to go to heaven briefly to say hello to family, loved ones, and pets. But a lot of times the baby souls and the pets will appear in dreams. They will provoke memories in dreams. I've had a lot of people who have come to me who've lost children, and there's a lot of different stories that I could share. Really, they're all heartbreaking, and I found that sometimes the best way of helping these lovely people are letting them speak, letting them have an offset, an outset, letting them talk, letting them cry. Sometimes, what can you say to somebody who's just lost their baby? You can't. Let's talk a little bit about skeptics who don't believe in afterlife communication. Well, that is entirely up to you. If you believe in it or you don't believe in it, that's entirely up to you. But when your physical body takes its last breath of air, and you start flying through the beautiful white light tunnel, which is all angels surrounded in a circular fashion, in a circular way, which creates a tunnel of light that we call the tunnel. I believe the tunnel is really just angels, in a circular, creating a tunnel. Well, there's no skepticism on the other side in the afterlife once you get there. So don't waste a lot of time being too skeptical of things. If it feels right, it may be right. If it doesn't feel right, then it may not be right for you. But just because you don't believe it, don't take that away from other people that do. And there's a lot of healing and a lot of education that happens when you really let in the truth of the afterlife, when you really let in the truth of heaven. This is not about religion. We'll talk about that in another video, okay? You just have to believe. Sometimes that's when you have nothing else, that's the only thing that you can do is believe, and with all your heart, and never let go. I want to also talk about some other questions people have asked me over the years about loved ones in heaven, because some of them have really stuck with me. And I hope that you'll find some of them useful, and some of them hopefully will answer some of your questions. So somebody wanted to know, what happens if my loved one in heaven reincarnates and they go back into a new body? Will I lose my connection with their spirit in heaven? No. There is a hard copy of every single person that ever lived, whether they lived for a fraction of a second or over 100 years. There is a hard copy of every single spirit that ever lived, every animal. So even if they reincarnate again, which they very well may, that will not prevent you from communicating with them, either through me, through another medium, through your own dreams, through your own abilities and such. That will not prevent them from communicating with you properly. A lot of you, especially with pets, and I know there's been a lot of pets that have been passing away recently as well. I've heard from quite a few of you lately. There's a lot of our precious furry angels have been gaining their wings lately, that's for sure. I remember hearing from someone recently who said a part of me died when my dog passed away. Well, those of us that have lost dogs know very well what that feeling is like, and the upset, and feeling alone, feeling a part of you died, not knowing how you can go on. I think the way why sometimes it's so much sadder when a pet leaves us, when a pet has to go rest in heaven, is because they're so perfect. They don't betray us. They don't do anything wrong, essentially, if they're trained properly. And even then, we love them for what they are. But they're so perfect. They're always there for us, So it's upsetting when they have to go rest. It's very upsetting. All you can really do is talk to people. And if you don't feel like talking to people, then don't talk to anybody. Just do what you feel is helping you. And as long as it's healthy, as long as it's not, unnecessary or bad behavior or self-destructive, because that's what happens sometimes when we go through loss, when we go through grief, especially with pets, when a pet passes. Every day gets a little bit easier after a while. Those of you that have had losses, I don't know. I remember when there was this tsunami or earthquake or something. Forgive me, I don't remember everything that happens in this world every day. There's so many more things that happen. But it happened in Haiti about 4 or 5 or 6 years ago. Many of my American friends here will remember that there was a lot of telethons and television shows that were trying to make money. I think George Clooney was one of the big people that did a telethon for those people, beautiful sisters and brothers in Haiti. I had a lady contact me about a month or so after that disaster and tragedy. She lost 12 members of her family in one night in the same disaster. 12 members. They lived in a pretty sizable home, I would imagine, and they all lived together. And she lost 13 members, so it was just her left. her sons, her daughters, her sisters, her brother, her husband. Um, when we wake up and we think we're having a lousy day, I always think to that woman who lost all her family, and she went on to follow her dreams to become a nurse, and she's wanting now to go further and become a doctor. So, when people can carry on from something like that, and they can find the will to continue breathing, and they can do things that can be so positive for not just themselves but other people's lives, she really is a survivor. She is a hero, if ever there was one that can get through something like that. We don't have a choice. As long as we have a heartbeat, there's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why we're still here. I can tell you that meditation is a strong healer. If you're going through something that's so rough and so difficult, meditate. Even if you just close your eyes and just do some breathing exercises. I wonder what people think if they're just tuning in right now. We're doing breathing exercises, people. Do some breathing exercises just like that. It's something that will help you. Something small. It doesn't have to be intense. Meditation can be a minute. It can be 5 seconds. It can be 2 days. It can be as long as you want it to be. But don't think that it has to be any longer than it needs to be for it to work properly. Sometimes we do, as I said earlier in the video today, sometimes we do overlook signs from loved ones and pets. Sometimes we can be so overcome with our emotions. So I want to talk about some ways where you can receive clearer signs and clearer messages from loved ones and pets in heaven. And I think daily meditation is good, having a daily prayer, a daily affirmation, talking to your loved ones in heaven, talking to them out loud, they can hear you. If you're doing something in the house and all of a sudden all your thoughts go to that loved one in heaven, there's a good chance that that loved one could be in the same room with you right now, provoking your thoughts, provoking you to feel about them, thinking about them, because they're that close. And like I said, also healing is important. You have to get through some healing before you can really get a thorough, strong contact with loved ones and pets on the other side. That's not to say that there's not exceptions, but not many. You really have to get a little bit through the grieving process, and then you'll start to hear a lot more signs and messages. How do you know if it's a genuine message from spirit or you're wishful thinking? With the exception of you having mental health issues or conditions that may not be currently diagnosed or treated, there would never be a voice in your head that would lead you on, that would be so cruel as to think that that it was something else other than that spirit or that pet or that loved one. The spirit never tricks us, never. So if there's a message that needs to be put, you're going to get it. Like I said, whether it's from me, another medium, through your dreams, through we have so many earthbound angels that walk among us. Strangers on the street that will smile. People that would want to help us. And a lot of these earthbound angels, if like me, light workers like you and I, they'll stop you in public if they're really tuned in, and if it's a really strong message. You'll get stopped in public by somebody who wants to help you. If they care enough, they will. I don't believe in ambulance chasing, but if you get a message from somebody, you're supposed to deliver it. That's something that I teach all my students. You really are supposed to deliver the message. Those out-of-body moments that we have with our loved ones are incredibly special. When we wake up in the morning with tears in our face, remembering that dream, those are real moments that we're spending with our loved ones in heaven while our spirit is resting out of body. That's no consolation, but that's something that we get to do. I suppose the angels think, well, it's not the same as being there, but at least there's something that we can do. You know, we lose the physical relationship with our loved one or our pet, but we gain a spiritual relationship, a spiritual connection. And I think that's incredibly beautiful. If you're going through something very rough, if you're going through something, if you've lost somebody and you have no idea what to do, or if you're going through something right now with a sick loved one and you know it's just a matter of time before they gain their wings and graduate this earth plane, preparing yourself can be helpful. A lot of people tend to be in denial toward the end when there's bad news. Just owning it and trying your best to see yourself through, to see your friend and your loved one through, whatever help, support you can be with them. Don't wait for tomorrow. You know, if you think, well, I'm going to go visit my loved one in a couple months, you know, after I can put some money together, go now. When you don't go and you don't get to say goodbye, that never leaves you. You're stuck with that. So don't wait. Don't think that they're going to be around tomorrow. We don't live in a world where tomorrow's promised, sadly. True story, and you know it. Friends, I have enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. This is the first of many wonderful videos we will be recording for our Patreon subscribers. Thank you so much for being one of our valued Patreon subscribers. And please be sure to let me know what you think about this video and all my videos by commenting, thumbing up, liking, sharing, doing all the good stuff on social media to spread the word. Thank you for being there. I can't wait to do my next video, and I hope you'll be there to enjoy it with me. Thanks for being here today, and I hope to do this again very soon, and I hope you'll be there for that too. Thanks very much, friends. Lots of love to you. Thank you for being a friend. Love, light, and lollipops to you from Christopher. Take care.